Welcome, everybody. This is Rolf Versluis, also Block Ops on the Discord and Telegram. We got our December 5th monthly community update from Horizen. So I'm going to introduce your host here, and who you've all heard a lot from, and will continue to in the future, Rob Viglione. Rob, all you.
Thank you, Rolf. Appreciate it. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the December 5th community update. This is a special one because it's actually the last one of the year. And the next one will be in 2019, in January. So we have some special updates. We're going to review some of the things that we said we were going to do in 2018, tell you the things that we did do, and then we're going to talk about what we plan on doing in 2019. So we'll kick it off with the community highlight. So want to give a shout out to 3 outstanding community members. So we have Vladimir, who helped actually create a node tracker app. So if you go into the Google Play Store, you can actually download his app and have some fun with your secure and super nodes. Sodio Mayor, this is recurring. Thank you for being so helpful on the secure node support channels. So I know a lot of community members rely on the help and support that you provide, and we all really appreciate that. And for Simon Diamond, thank you very much for putting together the node reward calculator. So really nice contributions for everybody, and we actually, there's a website for Simon for the calculator, which is grabanode.info. So guys, I encourage people to go over there, check it out, and have fun setting up some secure and super nodes. So next slide, please. Okay, so 2018 has been a roller coaster. This is good and bad. So we made some big commitments at the beginning of the year, and we wanted to review what we actually delivered on and talk about then after this what we want to do. So there were 3 big themes for 2018. And 2018 started off, we're all very aware with the market cycle that started off at the beginning of the year was pretty amazing. And the industry looked like it was in a huge upswing. And we committed to do some very big things. And we've had some challenges throughout that we think we've been doing a really good job delivering. So 3 of the big topics that we wanted to kick off the new year with at the beginning in January were radical usability, the idea that we wanted our products to be simple, clean, much more useful, and start thinking about going from this idea of geeks to masses on our products. And we're still not there fully, but there's a lot that we have been doing, and you're going to see with the new application that we're going to be releasing and talking about later on in this presentation. But so usability has many forms, right? So brand standardization was a big thing for us. So getting our brand right and getting that standard. So getting communication, marketing, messaging, everything standardized in a way that is recognizable. This is our brand, and then we can start building some brand equity around. Product consistency was a big one, and this is really important with the product that we're going to be talking about more and giving you guys a walkthrough today. So consistency now across platforms, across like client versus full node versions versus web wallets, mobile, all these things. We want to be consistent, so we want people to recognize that this is the Horizen brand and a Horizen product. Core code framework we've been consistently improving on, making more efficient, making more resilient, securing against things like unfortunate events that happen to us, like a 51% attack. We stood up a help desk. Again, for usability, this is extremely important because we're dealing with real money. So whenever people have issues with a wallet, they lose a key, or maybe there's something that's just not working, maybe they're confused, they're a new user, it's really important to be able to talk to a human being. So standing up the help desk was a really important thing for us. We put up a wiki with a whole bunch of user documentation. And the last big bullet point here is the flagship app. So I'm not going to spoil that yet, but we'll talk about that in coming slides. The other big theme was radical transparency. So we're an open project. We want large community participation, but sometimes it doesn't always feel that way, right? We have a budget that's been contracting rapidly. So our budget is denominated in Zen. You guys know how we put it together by having a percentage of block rewards go to a treasury pool, and that the value of that treasury pool has contracted something like 80% across the year. So it's been very difficult to plan projects, to hire people, have a team that's functioning, and to still try to do open forums where we have community submissions to do work, to do bounty programs. There's a lot of things that we're trying to do with a dynamically contracting budget. So this is quite challenging and much different from, say, traditional corporate finance, where you can actually plan quarterly and annual budgets and actually be able to execute things methodically. We don't have that luxury. We've had to react dynamically, but it was really important for us to be as open and transparent as possible. So we start by doing bi-weekly live streams. This was a really nice way for us to be able to have divisions reporting on exactly what they're doing so that people can see and hear directly from the people working on projects. We've, unfortunately, due to budget constraints, had to reduce this to monthly now instead of bi-weekly, but it's still a huge step forward that we have a commitment to maintain. We do live Q&As in these events. Again, access to team members and to leadership is extremely important. We've done team AMAs. Rolf and I did these. We've had other team members get out into social media consistently. We do Discord, Telegram, where we have team members consistently available. We have a public Trello board for a roadmap where we actually do updates as real time as possible. And sometimes it's challenging, again, with resource constraints. And now we have a public accounting system that we're going to give you a little snapshot for in today's presentation. But we're actually going to extend that into a live platform where you'll be able to see our accounting data. So this is all towards our commitment early on to radical transparency, and it doesn't stop here. Clearly, we're moving towards a DAO. We've prototyped our voting Treasury DAO system. In this coming year, early in the year, we want to actually deliver this and bring it to market. So there's nothing more transparent than having an actual DAO that's automated, where people can see exactly where projects are coming from and where funds are going and results. Okay, so the third big theme here for the year was radical innovation. And for innovation, this is something that is challenging, costly, but absolutely necessary. We're in the most competitive industry in the world right now, so we can't just be reactive to everything right now. So we've been doing products and doing as much real-time stuff to satisfy people's requirements right now and to build our project and grow it. But we have to think 3, 5, and 10 years in the future. Here's where R&D comes in, and here's where it's really important to be innovative. So we've had a whole bunch of innovations this year. So the Treasury and voting system, we've been able to prototype. So we have an academic paper that we've prototyped. This was a really important step forward for us. We have a scaling study that resulted in a prototype block DAG, which is massively, has massive transaction throughput. We have modified the Nakamoto or Satoshi consensus from Bitcoin, which was the longest chain rule, or essentially the most accumulated proof of work, deciding which branch of the chain is valid. We've actually modified this out of necessity, so we've had to innovate on the fly, which is a huge accomplishment, and actually derailed resources from doing other planned activities on the engineering side, but was a very quick delivery cycle. We were able to make our code base much more secure, make our network more secure. And now we have a generalizable sidechain design that Maurizio actually is going to come on and talk about later on. So there's a lot going on the innovation side as well. And we've had to do this, guys, remember, in a ridiculously volatile environment where our resource pool is contracted about 80%. So I am sure that there will be case studies on this type of stuff years from now, but it has been extremely challenging, and very proud of the team to be able to deliver what they have. We've been able to do on the BD and the marketing side 30 plus integrations across exchanges, major POS providers, other big partners. We've had just tremendous kind of growth across the board. So in all of this, again, done in a very constrained environment. So next slide, please. Okay, so here's the first look of what the Treasury funds have been used for this last year, or this current year. So what we've done here, so Treasury actuals, now remember, we get paid 10% of block reward to a Treasury pool. And this pool is governed by the Zen Blockchain Foundation, and they allocate it to projects to maintain the blockchain, to do R&D improvements, business development, integrations, marketing, really the whole gambit. And every 2 weeks previously and every month now, where you see us do updates, we're using resources to make these things happen. And here's the profile for how we did this. So this is just a snapshot, and you can see for 2018, the bulk of our budget went to engineering. No surprise there, because we're building a blockchain technology platform and we're doing some heavy R&D. So the majority of our budget went to engineering. Next up, we've developed a very significant marketing engine for the project, and the marketing engine really takes two prongs here. One is you have to communicate to the world what we're doing on the engineering side and on the product side. So we've been building out this marketing infrastructure to be able to communicate to the world. And the second thing is for new user acquisition. So you build technologies, you build products, and then you have to go out and acquire users to actually use them. Again, we've been doing this in a very volatile environment. So the team, I think, has been doing a tremendous job. We've had to scale down significantly. We've had resources dedicated specifically to user experience. So here's our help desk. You can see comprised about 6% of our budget. We have every organization has general administrative expenditures. Here it occupies about 12% of our budget, which is very typical for an organization of our size. We've had business development, so all the exchange integrations, the partnerships, and so forth, the meetups, the events. Events have been allocated to on the marketing side, but all the things to really reach out and get partners and integrate our technology and our products to other partners and exchanges and vendors, that's on the BD side. So what we have to use in the Treasury is about 21,600 Zen per month. And we've had to cut back significantly. So as I go to the next slide in a minute, where I'll show you what our 2019 expenditure profile is going to look like, at least our plans, you'll see a significant drawdown. So we've had to refocus projects and define what are the key strategic priorities for the project, for the overall project, and then refine our resources continuously to support these priorities. So we've had a 75% reduction since January 2018 on our team budget, our spending. So this is huge. So there are not many companies out there that have had to operate in a 1-year time frame with a 75% reduction in their budget, but still maintain commitments to priorities, strategic priorities, and things that we said we were going to do. And it's really important to keep your word and to build this trust. So we've done, I think, a tremendous job as a team. They've been phenomenal. We've had to reduce 23% of our personnel. And just to communicate to you guys, really for the first time here, we've gone through 3 different rounds of team cuts. And it's been extremely painful. And we've had to, unfortunately, let go of some very talented people that would otherwise do a tremendous job if we had more resources. We've had an 80% reduction in sponsorships. So it's also important to get the word out and to align with different organizations like radio shows that we previously sponsored, YouTube videos, podcasts, and different sponsorships that echo and resonate with our values and to get us out there for more of the world. We've unfortunately had to cut many of them, 80%, so most of them. We've reduced unplanned events completely. We've freezed any paid integrations. So whenever we have a promising, say, exchange to be listed on, but they need, there's a cost for integration, we unfortunately decline all of these days. We've had marketing designers support our UI. So we've actually had to try to reallocate. So even part of this marketing budget is actually going towards product design and UI. So that's a really important part there. And then on the G&A side, just to explain a little bit about what this means is we are a U.S. organization, nonprofit organization, and we touch, for as much as we like to think that we're building an independent world here in the blockchain side, which we are in many ways. We are doing we're building a crypto peer-to-peer world, but we still touch legal jurisdictions. So we still need accounting systems. We still need to pay lawyers, and we still have just basic subscriptions for industry subscriptions, like making sure that we're plugged in with what's going on the regulatory side. So these are just realities. We've had to cut most things, but now I would say we have a much healthier organization that is lean and mean, and we're still executing full steam ahead on our project plans. So next slide, please. We'll talk about what's going on in 2019. Okay, so the budget's contracted significantly. Like I said, we're about 80% lower on the dollar value for what our budget entails. The good news, though, guys, is that we have consistent budget in Zen. So we know that this next year, every single month, every day, every 2.5 minutes, we get more Zen to the Treasury. So having a steady stream of revenue that goes out into essentially perpetuity not technically, but that's a huge asset pool. So we can plan, but we have to be much more conservative this year. So what we're doing now is we're baselining to crisis mode, and we're continuing. So our engineering is still going to consume the bulk of our resources. We have our marketing. Actually, marketing has contracted from a dollar perspective, but from the percentage allocation, it's still consuming the second priority. And then we've got G&A has been expanded a little bit because we're actually doing quite a bit on the legal side, and extending or refining our operations as an organization. So there's a lot going on that you don't see here in the budget that I'll talk about. On the business development side, we still maintain a team, a global team that does meetups, goes to events and supports and just gets the word out and evangelizes. We still have a tremendous team that does the integrations and partnerships. We're going to continue doing that, but we are refocusing on top priorities. So the priorities that we're going into 2019 with, and we'll have much more detail, especially on our Trello going forward. Sidechains SDK. So this is what Alberto and his team have been working on in detail, and Maurizio is going to explain in much more detail in future slides, but this is a top priority. So we need the sidechain SDK to be done soon, and then we need our first sidechain to hit market. And then we have a whole business model built around sidechains. So that's really important. The sidechain delivery coming after the SDK, and then the product marketing and BD teams are focused exclusively now on new user acquisition. So we have some really nice plans here for quantitative approaches to actually acquiring new users, understanding basic things like what's the cost to acquire a new user and what's the marginal benefit for that new user. And now we can actually start experimenting with different types of outreach efforts. So we're getting better at how we do things, and this, I think, is going to position us to do really well going forward. So the marketing budget also includes digital media, events, some limited sponsorships. We've cut down significantly, and continued UI design for products. And the product UI and getting that right for usability is extremely important for us. Next slide, please. Okay, and here is where I will pass off to Rowan to cover the BD updates.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rob. So as just described, the business development division have kind of refocused priorities. So a big part of what we're doing currently is moving our attention into user acquisition rather than kind of building and maintaining a solid pipeline of integrations. So we've kind of got the fortunate, or we've built ourselves into a fortunate position where we have, as was mentioned, around about 30 different integrations from 2018. And it's not to say that we are completely moving priorities. So we still have a number of integrations that we're working on, and we still have quite a few exciting things to talk about in the next monthly roundup. But as you'll see for the rest of the presentation, when it comes to the regional updates, a big part of our current activities around meetups and user acquisition. That being said, there are two announcements I can make today. The first one you can see in front of you is BitBill. So BitBill is a really nice, clean mobile wallet. At the moment, Zen is integrated on the iOS version of BitBill, and in the next 3 or 4 weeks, will be integrated on the Android version as well. The reason that I'm kind of pretty excited about this integration, though, is that BitBill are currently working on a mobile-based multi-sig support for Zen, which will be fantastic for enterprise and institutional clients. So really excited about that one. The next integration that we're talking about, if we can just flick to the next slide, is ChangeNow. So ChangeNow are a auto exchange platform. They allow conversion of a very large variety of different cryptocurrencies, and they also allow you to purchase Zen with both a credit and a debit card with either USD or euros. So a big thank you from me, the rest of the Horizen team, and the whole community to both BitBill and ChangeNow for the support. And I very much urge you to go out and have a little look, either download BitBill from the Apple Store or have a little look at changenow.io. Thank you very much, and I'll pass back to Rob.
Great, thank you, Rowan. Cool. So what I'm going to review next are the 2018 completed projects. Okay, so we present this to you guys every month, so you can see a traceability here of what we've done because it's easy to forget. And as always, the updates are in blue. Okay, so just quick recap. This year, we've done Treasury prototype, which was a non-trivial effort, which we had the good fortune to work with some amazing scientists and engineers out of IOHK. We've done ASIC resistance research. So the whole thing here was to see, there's a big concept of decentralization and mining and trying to understand what is better for the health of the network, because there's always a counterbalance here. We want network security with heavy mining, but then we also want as much decentralization as possible. And we did research on that early on to come up with what we considered was our solution, which was a little controversial, and we had some unfortunate differences of opinion, with some members of the community. But what we thought was, right after the 51% attack, network security and health was the most important thing. So we switched then to modifying our networking, making it more resilient, and we've also had significant increase in hash rate on the network. We've done difficulty algorithm research. Now, this was on the 51% solution. This was not on the difficulty adjustment for mining, just to make that clear. Where we wanted to get an optimal solution for how are we going to apply a penalty for delayed block reporting, which was the primary threat vector for 51% attack. So we closed that out, and we actually implemented that in code. We had transaction throughput scaling research that we closed out as well earlier in the year, where we have a nice new parameter now, which uses transaction weight and block weight to have much more fine-tune get block template. We worked on the firmware for Tracer T, and PRs were submitted to the Tracer organization. And then we implemented our modifications to the Bitcoin protocol on the longest chain rule. So this was our 51% attack mitigation. We actually designed, produced, tested, and delivered to market in a very truncated timeline. And the update here on the project list was we closed out the new faucet design. So the new faucet's live. The homepage was redesigned. So this is something that may seem like a small detail, but is actually extremely popular in the community. And there's some people that absolutely love the faucet. So it was really, really nice to see, the Gustavo and their team work with our designers and come up with a nice homepage. Next slide, please. Okay, so active project, what's going on now? So the updates, again, are in blue. So Sidechains SDK, and pass off to Maurizio in a bit to go into details of where we are. But there's significant progress there, where we have major portions of the SDK actually coded now. So the design's complete, and they're coding the design. So we'll get into the details. The public accounting system is so it's new in the sense that we're working on it right now, and the design's finalized, 70% complete. And you saw the static information that we just reported. That static information will be on a nice portal, and then we'll eventually make that dynamic, where you'll see more real time, or at least a more finely tuned time sequence of expenditures into categories. The flagship product, you'll see a bit of a walkthrough with Jonas in a bit, but it's booked as 95% complete because we're gearing up for the beta release. We're in the very final phases of testing. We think we have the build that's going to be the one that we bring to market in beta, and we'll walk you through that product. And then we have some very important ZenD upgrades that are in progress right now that we're scheduling for the next deprecation cycle in January. And again, Maurizio will walk you through those in more detail. So next slide, please. Okay, so and Alan will actually get on and talk the node, but we're finding it. So Alan and Chronic have been working like crazy on improving that, and testing is in progress with planned release for the improvements actually later this week. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a special announcement here. So there was a vision earlier on where we're building out this big network, and when we were thinking about this idea of a secure node and then a super node network, the idea was always to do things on the network, not to just lock up a whole bunch of Zen. It takes a playoff market, right? The point was to actually get working machines of reasonably high quality that we can measure into a network, and then start doing things with the network. Well, one of the first things that we're going to start doing with the network, other than processing transactions, is to actually offer a VPN service. So here's where we're announcing for the first time a distributed VPN service. So we have a VPN provider that has a very high quality product that wants to make it available for our node operators to run and have it interact with ZenD. And very importantly here, have a revenue share between the VPN provider from subscriptions and the node operators. So the big vision here, guys, just to step back, is we want a very robust DApp ecosystem where node operators can pick and choose sort of a la carte to run nodes or to run applications on their servers that they're already running, and then be able to share in revenues that come off this. So we want to attract external revenues and external users from other products into our ecosystem. So what would be really nice is if we have this very nice VPN product where we think it will be extremely competitive in just the VPN market itself, because it'll have the most endpoints of any VPN on the market, we think, depending on how many node operators decide to run the service. And it'll have a nice desktop, mobile application, web app. So it's a very nice product that we're going to actually talk about in much more detail next live stream in January, where we'll actually get through some of the architecture and hopefully some product mock-ups. But for now, we just wanted to throw it out there and make you guys aware of this actually big project we've had going on in the background that we think will be a very significant improvement to our overall ecosystem. It's consistent with our privacy mandate, where we want to help people, connect to the rest of the world. And there are people in certain parts of the world that just don't have the same access to information. We want there to be a nice, clean, elegant, truly anonymous way for them to do that. And we think this is an excellent solution. So this is also something that we're pushing as an alternative to domain fronting, which even Rolf could talk about in more detail on the Q&A if people have questions. But we realized was not a very mature or robust way for us to do this. So we think a VPN is a nice alternative to be able to have people access information or access to the rest of the world and use our network and our current capabilities, use Zen, use our ability to do private transactions to be able to create anonymous accounts. It's going to be a very nice, elegant way to kind of combine everything together and have our first product in our DApp ecosystem. So next slide, please. Okay, and here is where I'll pass it off to Maurizio to go over the software upgrade that we have coming up and then the sidechain updates.
Thanks, Rob. Hello, everybody. So it's my first time here, and I'm here on behalf of the core engineering team. I'll try to give an update on what's going on, the main activities there. The most important update is that we've heard the loud and clear request to implement sapling, and we've decided to give priority to that. But since it's a big project and quite complex, we've decided to approach that in steps. And the first step, we are targeting the next deprecation date, that will be mid-January, to hopefully introduce a new type of transaction. It will be still a shielded transaction. In the code will be type 3. It will replace the current type 2 shielded transaction, where the only difference is that we will use a different zero-knowledge proving system. Instead of today's system that is based on Partner's Pinocchio protocol, we will use a circuit that is based on the Cross 16 paper. It's the same circuit that is used by sapling. It will give us more robustness, more speed, much more speed in making the proof. It will use much less memory. Also, verification will be faster, twice as fast. And so a significant benefit. Because we've given priority to that, we are delaying some of the projects we were working on that will be included in next releases. And if we go to the next slide, I will also speak about the sidechain project that Rob mentioned. So, as Rob said, we are working on a software developer kit that will be a piece of software that will make the build of a sidechain easy, or at least not too difficult exercise for software developers that will want to build their own sidechain. And in the process, we are designing the SDK, and we made good progress there, but we've also started writing some real code. So the main software objects of the SDK has been coded, and we've also defined the forward transfer protocol. That is the protocol that allows the main chain to burn coins and see that in the sidechain. The sidechain will decide how to use those coins, if there will be coins or will be something else there. We've started working on the certifiers lock protocol. Both the forward transfer protocol and the certified locks are events that are started on main chain and needs to be captured by the sidechain and mirrored on the specific sidechain. And next will be the backward transfer protocol, and we will work on that next. And at that point, we'll be ready to really code full speed. And I think that's it from me. So back to you, Rob.
Thank you, Maurizio. And okay, so I just wanted to take a moment here to say we're coming up to our 1-year anniversary on the Secure Node network. So when we envisioned this network, we had big plans for it, and I can say the reality has exceeded our expectations significantly. So actually, we've done we've had tremendous growth beyond what we thought was possible, and well, I mean, in as short of a time frame, and despite the market kind of the crypto market overall being in a very severe bear market at this phase, we've still had tremendous growth of our node network. So this has a lot of implications for the future, which you'll see in the coming months as we bring different partnerships to light, where we have businesses and groups that are coming to us because they want to leverage the large node network that we have, either to deploy a DApp or to eventually deploy a sidechain that leverages the network as certifying nodes. So if you think about this from an enterprise competitive perspective, you've got companies that charge businesses a lot of money to set up nodes and to run their software. If we can offer a public alternative infrastructure or public infrastructure alternative, this has tremendous value propositions in many ways. So I just wanted to start this off by saying a huge thank you to Alan, who you'll hear from in a moment, Chronic, Maurizio, Alberto, all of the team members who have been putting so much work into this. In particular, this was Alan's baby when we started this a year ago, and we basically went to Alan and said, please, can you do something? We have some general ideas. And he designed everything from scratch and implemented it initially by himself with the design, and then had help on the infrastructure side from Chronic, who's been absolutely ridiculously valuable team member who works all the time and just does so much of the back-end work in setting up infrastructure that none of this stuff will be able to run on otherwise. So guys, huge thank you. And I'll just pass this off to you now, Alan, to give the actual updates.
Thank you, Rob. That's very nice accolades there. I just have a little bit of node news to go through here, and most of it focuses on just some of the recent updates that we have had, and that was the migration of the Secure Node complete system over to a new hosting provider. So 2 new servers were added. The migration itself went very smoothly thanks to Chronic. We were able to transfer all the data and then simply shut down each server individually and let all the nodes reconnect to the new servers. We should be in a good place now to handle growth until the future tracking and payment system is on the side chains. There are also a number of updates that are still waiting to be deployed. These were delayed a few months ago to focus on some specific node connectivity issues, which have now been resolved. We are retesting the remaining updates and are targeting this weekend, December 8th or 9th, hopefully, to get both Secure Node and Supernodes updated. Also, the Node Tracker 0.4.0 is in finalization of its feature set. and changes, and will be available for more testing the next week or two. Hope to have a release candidate for that. The version should be ready before the next version of Zen is available, so node operators can update both at the same time. Get both Zen and Node Tracker updated. Also, we have a community member, as mentioned before, that put together a reward calculator, and the URL is on the page here for anybody who missed that previously. You can just quickly find out if what the profitability might be on a number of nodes, whether they're super nodes or secure nodes, whether you're looking to set some up or already have some set up and just want to check their profitability. That's all I have right now for the node news. Pass over to Jonas, who's going to have an announcement.
And I have the great honor to introduce you to our new flagship app and also to announce the winning name of our naming competition. Could I have the next slide, please? So Sphere by Horizen is our new flagship product. We received over 500 submissions and reduced them step by step. We had to consider some legal aspects in the naming process, as not all the names were available to us. But we finally came down to Sphere, which I like a lot. And two of the main aspects of building this flagship product were basically cleaning up our backend and building it so that we have the capability to add all the dApps that we're going to offer in the future. And I have a few slides that show you our user interface. So could I have the next slide, please? This is what you will see when you open up your wallet for the first time. The features that will be included in the first release, of course, the wallet component. You can switch between full client and light client. It supports web and paper wallet, and you have a secure messaging function built in. And in the future, you'll be able to manage your nodes throughout Sphere. Also, the popular batch withdrawal feature is going to be added soon. We're thinking about adding multi-currency support and human-readable addresses, and a user-friendly multi-sig feature. So once you've created your wallet or your account, you will have this as a landing page. You will have an overview of our global node count and the current market conditions. And we integrated a news feed and our most recent tweets. And as you can see on the left, you can create several different wallets within Sphere, each with its own recovery phrase. And the next feature, please. Next slide. And once you enter a wallet, there you have the option to create different addresses, transparent as well as shielded addresses, as you might know them from our previous full client, the Swing wallet. It's also required that you're running the full client if you want to use the messaging feature. On the top left, available there. Could I have the next slide, please? What I really like a lot is our contacts feature. So if you transact with people regularly, you can just add a contact, put their name in, which reduces the risk of confusion when copying and pasting addresses. This makes it pretty handy and also makes the transaction history a lot more readable. And finally, I have a screenshot of our messaging function. Next slide, please. This is how messaging looks like. As I said, this is available in the full node only, but going through the settings, you can easily toggle between full node and light client. And after exchanging a conversation key, you are ready to go and can chat with any other I'm really glad I was involved in testing, and I really like Sphere, and I'm looking forward to having it available for the entire community. Thank you, and I'm handing off to Lucy here.
Hi everyone, this is Lucy. I'm one of the senior marketing managers. So I want to start out our marketing updates with a really meaningful project run by an incredible group. So we have recently partnered with Crypto Concierge. They are a Latin American nonprofit that focuses on achieving cryptocurrency mass adoption in Latin America, as well as helping people in need. So what they do is that they provide local merchants with necessary trainings, tools, and support for accepting and use cryptocurrencies, even in places with limited internet service. So Horizen is one of the key partners. We are currently working together on an initial project that helps tackling refugee crisis in Colombia. So every week, there are over 50,000 Venezuelan refugees passing through Cuba due to their economic situations in the country. So we are providing our paper wallets with some Zen and education about cryptocurrency and the usage of Zen to refugee communities. So they have so they have secure ways to access and have control of the money, no matter where they are or what kind of difficult situations they're in. And at the same time, through this partnership, we are also able to push forward towards mass adoption of Zen and a sustainable crypto ecosystem in the crypto regions. And currently, our initial goal is to onboard 100 local merchants to begin accept Zen as payments. We have already made a big progress and helped many people, but we can use more help and support for our ongoing effort. So we have built a marketing campaign to raise awareness of the difficult situation there and to promote this project to bring more people in. And we are calling out to you, our global communities, and also our partners to join us and get involved. And you can visit our blog for more information. And we have an article and video that tells the story about this really amazing project. Next slide, please. So we collaborated with partner Quantigo, and we ran a competition and a giveaway. The competition is to encourage people to transact Zen with Quantigo. So Quantigo allows people to send and receive crypto anywhere in the world, only using text messages. So you don't have to have a smartphone or internet connection to do that. So this is particularly helpful for people who are in that kind of situation. And Horizen and Quantigo are both partners in the refugee relief and crypto mass adoption project that I just mentioned. So we are both pretty cool. The reward for the competition is $200, and we got a winner yesterday. So congratulations to the winner, and thank Quantigo and one of the Horizen team members for sponsoring this competition. And then we also have a giveaway, and I believe it's still in running, and but it's ending soon. So make sure you follow us on social media so you don't miss out on any of the fun events like this one. Next slide, please. Okay. All right. Node Easy. So Node Easy is a master node management platform. It provides different tools for people to track and manage their existing nodes. So on their platform, users can monitor their secure nodes and super nodes, and they get real-time email notifications if their nodes drop offline. They also provide digital asset analysis and node income calculators, so useful tools like that. And we are currently working together to help more people to learn about blockchain technologies and nodes, especially in China. So they regularly host educational webinars and workshops, both online and offline. And the team behind No Easy is from our community, and they have been very active contributors to the growth of the community. So it's always really exciting to see how we and our community can grow together as a part of an ecosystem. And then one more thing is that they also have a directory page where they list third-party node hosting and setup services. So if you run one of those services, you can get listed there. So next slide, please. Okay. Well, let's talk a little about numbers. November overall was relatively a flat month in terms of traffic on our website. But with everything considered, including some competitor KPI comparisons, we are very happy with how we did in that month. I want to highlight that we did particularly well on user retention. So people who visited our websites and visited our social media platforms showed higher level of interest, and they spent more time on our websites and visited more pages and taking more actions, including signing up to our mailing list. And our newsletter list, our mailing list, the growth has been very steady and strong. And our senior marketing manager, Jonathan, is the main person behind our successful newsletter program. And he makes sure our newsletter subscription is made available for people who may be interested in it. And also he does an awesome job in providing interesting and useful information for subscribers. So, and also we had a good social media impact as well. We saw higher post interest and the level of actions on our social channels. So overall, we're really happy to see some really big increases in user acquisition from our social media channels. And the last thing on this slide I want to highlight is the performance of our Zen Wallet Android app. So in the past couple of months, we saw some big increases in downloads and usage of our current wallet app. And I'm really happy to see these numbers because they indicate in the user acquisition and also adoption of Zen. And this made me even more excited for our new flagship app here by Horizen. And I really think people will love it. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide is for past events. Our team had a very busy month. Rolf was particularly busy. He and our team were at the Texas Bitcoin conference, where he was one of the speakers. And he was also in Atlanta Bitcoin Embassy, and also in collaboration with Students for Liberty. We also had many virtual meetups with students in African countries. And also our country manager in Georgia, Thano, attended a really one of the biggest blockchain and cryptocurrency conference in the region. And the turnout was fantastic. Our booth was super popular, and then all of the Horizen brochures were completely out by the end of the event. So if you would like to host and organize Horizen meetups in your city, please reach out to us. We'd love to come to your city. That's it. That's everything from marketing. I will hand it back to you, Rob.
Thanks, Lucy. Appreciate it. Yeah, we had some good events, and I like these meetup type events where it's more face-to-face, and especially it's been a good partnership with Students for Liberty so far, and that's been very enjoyable. And it gets us out in front of a whole bunch of different user base than we would normally be in front of. So upcoming events, I've got a few of them here, and these just kind of all came together. I started doing these meetup things, started scheduling them about 3-4 months ago, and they've really gained traction. the meetups have I've partnered with Students for Liberty, and I'll be going to the LibertyCon conference for that organization in Washington, D.C. in January. Just we got a small booth there, and I'll meet more folks. But we gave the opportunity to schedule remote meetups to everybody in the organization. And the place where we got the most traction from was some folks in Nigeria and in Ghana and a couple places here in the United States. And we do these a little bit differently. I mentor on the back end to assist in them promoting and getting folks to the event. Then I'll come in and do a video live stream. And then after the event, for everybody who showed up, we give everybody a little bit of Zen who showed up. So it expands the user base. It has people have the experience of installing a wallet and getting funds. And I educate them not only on Horizen, but also on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, and talk to them how it's similar to gold and how it's money and things like that. So it works out pretty well. I'm not sure what the uptake or conversion rate of the people that show up into people that are more longer term cryptocurrency and Horizen enthusiasts. But if it's somewhere between 10 and 30%, I'm very happy about that. And so we're going to continue doing those. Those are nice low cost events. And it's straightforward for me to work with these very energetic Student for Liberty local leaders all over the world to continue to do these. And I don't travel as much just because with 4 teenagers in the house, it's a little bit difficult. So I have actually one here in Georgia coming up. I'm going to go there in person on Friday. And then we have the Cryptolina is doing a event here in Atlanta, and they invited me to speak as a speaker there. We don't have a sponsorship or anything with them. We actually have another meetup on the 14th of December, 19th, 27th, and then so a few different things coming up. And every one of these, we try to do a video recording and then take some pictures and post some follow-up information. And I feel that they continue to get better and better. So I think this is a great partnership of us working to teach the different folks around the world that are part of the Student for Liberty group what Bitcoin is and what cryptocurrencies are and how Horizen as a project adds privacy and additional capabilities and a user focus that's very helpful. So we've got country lead updates for folks all over the world that are doing interesting updates. So let me go ahead and introduce we've got oh yeah, Vano, why don't you come on and give an update here?
Thank you, Rolf. Let me start with our development efforts from the community. This month, we had a global release of Horizen Node Tracker application on Google Play Store by Vladimir Polishchuk, North Dakota. He also regularly maintains the application and deserved the community highlight this month. It's quite a nice application to track payments and monitor your secure and super nodes, and you should definitely give it a try. Regarding event participation, Lucy already told, and Georgian Students for Liberty conference has been a great success for us. Around 600 people attended, and our booths have been really the best one, and students just took out every printed material, and many got interested into our project too. Conference itself has been quite a good one too. Very good speakers, good speeches, just enough cypherpunks, blockchain, and crypto there. We have also been present at Armenia's first ever blockchain conference, Chainpoint 18, where I was talking about Horizen's 51% attack solution. Then I wish to say a big thank you to every single community member of ours who contributed and voted for us to get listed on an upcoming Georgian exchange, Folex. This is an interesting because Folex has applied for an international finance license, which makes them eligible to have fiat pairs. And then speaking about integrations on Russian side, we are in talks with an undisclosed DEX exchange to get us listed. And we have also an ongoing integration process with a licensed multi-currency payment system, which we hope to be able to announce very soon, which is of course under NDA now. And then about social media, we have a volunteer initiative to clean up old Telegram group on Russian side. And we also see a growth on our regional pages at Horizen.ru and Horizen G at Facebook. And we wish you to visit us there. That's all from us. And next is our amazing data team with great updates. It's all yours, Lewis.
All right, thank you, Vano. Hello, everyone. So yeah, within the Latin American community, we continue our grassroots efforts to spread the Zen message all over the region there via meetups. Last month, our community members conducted meetups in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Cucuta, Colombia, and Merida, Venezuela. And they're doing such a fantastic job organizing these events and really getting people together. During December, we have an additional meetup scheduled for Caracas, Venezuela, and Bogota, Colombia. Excited about our partnership with Crypto Conserje and the work that they're doing there in Colombia to help the Venezuela refugees living in Cucuta. As Lucy mentioned, Crypto Conserje has been on the ground doing fantastic work, working with the refugees there, educating them on the basics of cryptocurrencies and Horizen. And again, just wanted to reiterate, if anyone is interested in learning more about this effort, please visit our blog, where you'll find some more details there. We've set up a Zen address and also a Contigo number in case anyone in the audience would like to contribute. We've also held out a couple of contests to kick off our partnership with Contigo, and Lucy talked about those as well. We had one lucky winner walked away with $200 US worth of Zen, and another will walk away here with some cool merchandise from our store. And then we also attended the Viva la Crypto Festival in Monterrey, and that went really well. Some of the greatest minds in the crypto space were there. To the conference organizers who did such an amazing job setting up the conference, and we can't wait till the next one. And then lastly, a bit of exciting news that we are finalizing the details for our 24/7 help desk in Espanol. Be announced here in the very near future, and our members from our Latin American community will soon be able to submit tickets in Spanish and receive support in Spanish. So that's pretty awesome. That's all from me. I'd like to turn it over to Arno, who's going to be doing the update for Central European and Kenya markets.
I'm going to jump in here and pretend that I am Arno, because Arno is actually in the middle of traveling at the moment. So I'm going to cover his slide. So for Central European and the Kenya market, first off, Manon did a fantastic job of organizing a survey. So Manon is Horizen's country representative for France. She put a survey out to try and really gain an understanding of the knowledge level among the community in France, and to try and kind of provide herself with guidance as to where she needs to go to bridge that gap. So you can see that the average age of participants was around about 32 from the graph in the middle. And the interesting thing here, and I guess reasonably self-explanatory and probably to be expected, but the majority of people class themselves as being kind of trading experts, if you like, or at least having a very in-depth knowledge of trading. So you can see the scale on there, 5 being the highest score you could give yourself. And then on the other side of things, almost everybody selected 1. So very limited knowledge of setting up a node and very limited knowledge of the benefits and incentives in place for node operators. So that gives Manon a really kind of pointed target to go out and do some node outreach in her area. And that's exactly how she'll be proceeding with that work. So thank you very much for doing that. In the middle here, you can see that the OTF application was for some funding. Has actually been unfortunately rejected. However, the team are going to be reapplying. They've managed to get a little bit more feedback to determine how best to proceed from there. As was mentioned by both Lucy and Rolf, there's been a really large amount of activity in the meetup space throughout Ghana and Nigeria. And there's also an upcoming book launch at Strathmore University in Kenya. The last thing here to talk about in the Central European and Kenya market slide is that the team will be attending 3 different events coming up. So we have the Mallorca blockchain in March 2019. There's also a blockchain meetup in Saxony, January 2019, and then blockchain beyond the hype in Berlin. Arno has asked me to kind of call out to the community in Central Europe and Africa. If you know of an event that you'd like to see the Horizen team attend in your area, then please reach out. You'll get us across social media. Would very much look forward to hearing from you soon. That's it from Central Europe.
Okay, thank you very much, Rolf. Ciao community, thank you also for following us as always. It has been an exciting month here, which culminated with TEDx Alessandria last Saturday. So for those who don't know, TEDx is an international community that organizes TED-style events anywhere and everywhere, celebrating locally driven ideas and elevating them to a global stage. TEDx events are produced independently of TED conferences. Each event creates speakers on their own, but based on TED's formats and rules. So Horizen was involved into that because we sponsored one of those events. It was a sponsorship agreed a long time ago, back in January, and our name was clearly visible on all the billboards, brochures, and all the marketing collaterals that were basically printed and posted online. Also, we had a very nice booth there right after the registration area. So every single visitor had the chance to stop by, look at us, and eventually start a conversation. The interest towards our project was great. And in particular, what people really love is our vision about providing everyone with complete control of their digital footprint and eventually monetizing the data. This is a message that is always well received and understood by everybody, including people that have maybe no idea about what a blockchain is. And it worked so well that I was then invited to be a speaker at the next edition, where I will have the chance to speak more about our vision in general and the way we see the future. Something I am then bringing on is our relationship with Politecnico di Milano, one of the top universities in Italy, on multiple levels. On one hand, I am discussing the opportunity of collaborating with their blockchain and distributed ledger observatory, an important set of classes that go on for 1 entire year, because that would position ourselves in the Italian market very well and could attract many organizations for projects and proof of concepts immediately after. Also, I plan to attend their event about fintech and insurtech in Italy, an interesting event that will take place on December 11th. This to be more and more near to the big organizations interested in doing blockchain-based projects. And finally, I'm discussing with them the possibility of organizing a meetup with their students. That would be very interesting as well. Speaking about projects and proof of concepts, we are talking with one of the most important companies in the food and beverage industry in Italy. So I cannot name it yet, but it's on the size of 10 billions of euros in revenue each year, and it's interested in cryptonizing some of their businesses, or at least start applying blockchain technologies to their businesses. So this is once again the proof that very important market players want to innovate. We saw it already. There are many examples out there, like with the French company Carrefour, but also in Italy and in the rest of the world there is need. And once we will have side chains, we spoke about them today, I'm sure we will be able to satisfy most of those needs. So for now, we are already speaking with them and discussing possible partnerships. That's it for now from the Italian market, and back to you, Rob.
Great. Well, thank you, Luca, and everyone. Rolf, do you want to just hand it over to Q&A here for anyone?
Yeah, let's do it. I think we got both of us on the video. We have, thanks to P. who provided a huge list of annotated questions. We can just roll through it.
Nice.
I do. There was one that nobody asked that has been asked before. I'll just tackle that one first. We did provide everything to the Trezor team to get onto the Trezor hardware wallet, but it needs a third-party application. And so our flagship user application, Horizen Sphere, I expect that we will integrate at some point in the future hardware wallet support, and the Trezor would be one of those. So it needs a third-party app, and that's the most straightforward way I think that we're going to be able to do that. See any questions that you want to jump in and tackle?
I mean, we could just start from the beginning. So the sapling and blossom question. So when can we expect sapling on Horizen? So answered in one way, but we actually didn't provide specific dates. But so it's a phased approach. So the first part is integrating the very important circuit for note commitments, and then we're going to be porting over the remainder of the code for the following software build. So obviously not this next deprecation cycle mid-January, but the following one after that, we're expecting full sapling implementation.
Yeah, and as our code base diverges more and more from Zcash as we add different things, we can't just bring in things quickly from Zcash. We need to figure out where to bring those in and how to do that, and that's going to continue to move along. But the sapling upgrade is certainly an important one. It's one of the ones that leads to something that I'm really hoping that we're able to have in 2019, which is the mobile wallet that does shielded transactions. Okay. Do we see any potential headwinds with the recent SEC crackdown on security tokens? We're not a security token. We're a utility token, and we didn't do any initial coin offering. We didn't do any capital raise. We did a flat out chain split launch, just very similar, not exactly the same, but very similar to the way that Bitcoin did it. We do have a treasury, which is one thing that's slightly different, but that goes directly to the foundation. So I don't see any potential issues from a Security and Exchange Commission regarding what they're doing with not the utility tokens, but the security tokens.
Yeah, especially if there is going to be a crackdown on ICOs, which probably imagine there will be. We at least are not part of that. So I'm with you on that, Rolf. There's another question here about when are we going to get a better phone wallet or mobile wallet. So actually, something that we didn't mention, but it was another whole project that actually matured, is we actually have a brand new mobile wallet. It's designed for iOS, and we're holding it in reserve to actually do extensive testing. So actually, our testing crew was diverted to all hands on deck to test the flagship or Sphere app. So once this is completed and we have the beta release, then we're going to be migrating those testing resources to actually test the new mobile app. So we're expecting to have that brought to market at the early stages of next year. So stay tuned on that.
On the development side of things, has Zen started integrating GitHub issues and bugs to get more freelance developers working on Horizen? I don't have the answer to that. I don't really know. I know that we're focused on a lot of development on the things that we do, but Rob, you're there in Italy. You're closer to our dev team. Do you have a feel for that?
Yeah. So we do have this is an excellent suggestion. We certainly want to have a more active open source community. I know that we were started planning to have a bounty program that we want to unroll. One of the biggest problems that we have is just a lack of resources right now, because every time we want to do something and issue new bounties and issue new projects, we get hit with another reduction in our resource pool. So it's definitely on the radar. This is an excellent suggestion for how to implement it well, but we have not done that yet, at least to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I was at the Texas Bitcoin Conference. I was talking with Jared Tate with Digibyte and was asking them how they do, because they don't have a treasury. They were thinking of doing that in a foundation, and he said that they have, a very well-structured bounty program. So, maybe longer term, that's something that we can look at working in. There's so many different things that we want to do, and we really have to prioritize. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of the technology and user ease of use development really is important and drives it forward. So sometimes some of these other things that we want to do and we recognize are important, but they become secondary and they take longer to do.
Rolf, I have a perfect question for you from our friend Trollolino. Shout out to you, Trollolino. We miss you. But 6 months later, do you regret the decision not to fork away from ASICs?
No, don't regret that at all. Some people are pointing to the price decrease as something that's caused by GPU miners who decided to not support Horizen anymore and sold everything. I think that's not the case. I think our price decrease is in line with other cryptocurrencies and with the market. And I know that there's not, when we have ASICs that are the majority of the hash power on the Horizen network, there's not going to be any hidden ASICs or FPGAs or anything else like out there. So if you look at the history of Bitcoin, where it progressed through CPU mining and GPU mining and FPGA and then ASIC, that's a technological progression that pretty much happens to every cryptocurrency. And once you get to the level of maximum power efficiency, it's not possible to go anymore. And I think that's a good place for the cryptocurrency to be. We put the 51% attack protection in to protect against that. And as our popularity continues to grow, we'll continue to have more Equihash hash rate directed at Horizen, and I expect to see our percentage of the overall Equihash hash rate continue to go up. And obviously Zcash is the one that has the majority of it. They announced that they may do something different with their mining algorithm to reduce the effect of Equihash ASICs out there. I think that's great that they're going to do that. My feeling, and certainly it's going to be up to vote when we get the Treasury and governance in place, which is a huge part of one of the improvements that we really need to focus on. But if the community decides that ASICs is not where we want to be and we want to look at different mining algorithms in the future, that's absolutely something that would be appropriate for a vote. I think however, big picture, I think as long as we have security on the overall network, there are a lot of other things that can be done to improve the differentiation of cryptocurrency projects as opposed to just changing the hashing algorithm.
Yeah, very well said, Rolf. So, okay, we have Jose asking the ETA for the VPN. So the VPN, the product itself is done. So the work right now is actually going towards making it interact with ZenD and to try to automate anonymous setup using Z addresses and then doing payments, using Zen and revenue splits with our node operators. So we're looking at, and we'll have much more detail next month when we do the update, but we're looking at tentatively the end of Q1, so in a few months, to have a working product because it is in such a mature phase. Actually, something that I wanted to mention earlier when I talked about the VPN is we've actually had a few different businesses and teams or community members reach out to us about having a DVPN product running on the network. So what we want to make absolutely clear is we're not a gated project. So we're not like Apple, the Apple Store, where we review and decide unilaterally whether or not we're going to allow an app. What we want is competition on our network, and we want people to come forward, and we could have multiple VPNs available to node operators, available to our users, available to our community. And ideally, I think that would be an excellent case going forward. So definitely want to keep encouraging more innovation and more entrepreneurship within our community. And why would you use a VPN? So I use that's a question from Smelson. So you should, it's excellent security practice to use a VPN to actually create a secure tunnel for whenever you're connecting, particularly from an untrusted or unknown network. So say you go to Starbucks or go to some cafe and you're connecting to the Wi-Fi, you should connect to a VPN as the first thing that you do before you access anything else on the internet. So there are people all over the world that use VPNs all the time. I use them all the time. There's a huge market for it, actually. One of the community member teams put together a market analysis for VPN products. The market's huge, in the tens of billions of dollars. So being able to offer one of the most competitive and truly anonymous VPNs on the market with the most endpoints on the market is a huge value proposition. So as a business model itself, this is excellent because now we have a great way to bring people from outside the crypto world into our ecosystem without selling them on blockchain. All they care about is that there's a nice working product that's better than what they have on the market, and they prefer it for some features, and they use it. And now they can use Zen, and they can come into our ecosystem. So very excited for these types of products.
Yeah, and bringing people from outside the current cryptocurrency ecosystem into using our product is really going to be one of the big ways that we grow. Certainly, a lot of people came in when the price of Bitcoin went up, and if those people bought when the price was high, and they're probably a little turned off from it. Pretty much the majority of the media coverage is on the price of the assets, as far as I can tell. VPN and other type of application functionality in a decentralized way, I think is going to bring in new users. Just like our partnership with MindGeek, we're looking to bring additional people in to use Horizen and make sure that we help them along the path. So
yeah, Rob, I couldn't agree more. This is such a huge growth path, just in terms of bringing in people from outside, because otherwise you've got 1,000 projects selling to the same very small pool of people that care about crypto.
Right, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to go out to talk to people that haven't even heard of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency before, and even when you talk to them, the majority of them might not believe you or might not see, but at least you plant the thought in their head. And in the sales realm, it takes an average of 5 touches, 5 interactions with any client to get them to convert over. So if we keep talking, and that's why with these meetups that I'm doing an introduction to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and then what we're adding on as an advantage for Horizen. And they might not start using Zen from the first time. They might just turn around and sell it and convert it to their local cryptocurrency and say, yeah, I got a couple bucks worth of free stuff. But if we do it again and again over months and years, we're going to get a lot of user base.
Mm-hmm.
So some questions on the Sphere wallet. Let's see, when's it going to come out? I'm pretty sure it's going to come out in December. Is it open source? And what language is it written in? I believe that we talked about keeping it closed source during the beta period while we get everything worked out. And I'm not sure what language it's written in. Is that something that you know, Rob?
Yeah, so I don't know if our marketing team's committed to a specific date, but we are extremely close. We're in what we hope is the final build, and we've been going back and forth on minor bug fixes. So now it's really just a matter of, do we think it's as perfect as we can make it before we release the beta? So actually, we're looking at the order of like a week, maybe 2 weeks. And if you guys remember from a year and a half ago, the famous every 2 weeks we would say, hey, in 2 more weeks, but we actually mean in a week or two. So in terms of how it's written, so Node.js, React on the back end, but we did actually obfuscate the code, and it is going to be released with a proprietary license. And this goes towards, again, our ethos is open source on core technologies, absolutely. And even for this, we view this as a path to eventual release. But in terms of IP strategy, so we are releasing initially closed source, and this is also protecting the fact that it is a new release for a product that we have very high hopes for in many different ways. So we actually will discuss exactly what the licensing terms are there, but it won't be open source off the bat.
And I think it was set up that we should be able to make a mobile version pretty straightforward from the core code, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and this isn't even designed to be, it is a wallet. First and foremost, it is a wallet, but that's actually one of the first features in it. But ultimately, we envision this to be kind of a multi-purpose application, which is why we're not even calling it a wallet. It's an app. So we have very high hopes for it. It's going to be very exciting for the project.
So we have a question that should we increase the percentage to Treasury funds while the crypto prices are low? I don't know. My feeling about this, and maybe there's different feelings. My feeling is that we've got a pretty good split between miners who secure the network, nodes who do a whole bunch of things, keep copies of the code, make places for wallets to connect to, keep everything up and running, and Treasury. Would it be nice to be able to go to 50% of the rewards go into the Treasury and turn around and do a lot of stuff? Yeah, but we have enough funds to continue where we need to be, and we have a good plan. And if we want to look at changing different things, that's probably something that we want to look at doing through a possible proposal and voting on it with the Treasury and governance system once that's implemented. I don't know if you want to add on to that, Rob, but.
No, I agree. So I think that the way it stands right now is we have a good balance, and we are trying to rush to have a voting system in place. So these are exactly the types of issues that we want to bring to vote within the community.
Yeah. So, and this isn't something that we could just lightly consider and say, oh yeah, we're going to do this. This is a very serious change. And anytime you make a serious change like that, there's a possibility of a fork, of people being unhappy, and people make plans on different types of economic models. And so having stability in the economic models and being very slow to potentially change those is important to be able to have partnerships and people that support us and all sorts of different things like that. So just because I bring it up and say it's a possible change, it's a way to bring it up onto the discussion, talk about why we're not going to make the change, and then put it back down.
Yeah, and Zenchik, Rosario just mentioned, we do have a bug bounty program, which of course we do. We just paid a bounty. So I'm just not sure how it's operating.
And is the Treasury and governance system supposed to be functional by Q1 of next year? I think that would be pretty aggressive to be able to get that done. Good software takes a long time to write, debug, test, go through beta, and release. We have a lot of things on the pipeline, and it takes a while to go through and develop them. And I had this conversation with somebody on the Discord earlier this week that said, well, Monero is more advanced and they're more secure. Well, Monero's been around for a while. I'd argue that they're more advanced, they're more secure, but they certainly have a lot of users, and they're a good privacy-focused cryptocurrency. We have a lot of things that we're doing in parallel, and we're going through the proper software development methodology on that, planning it out, doing it, testing it, making it supportable, refactoring it, having good quality software development team do that. And it's going to take as long as it takes. We're going to move that along as quickly as we can. And if the price of Horizen goes up and we're able to contract more out to teams or hire additional developers, then that might be able to make it go faster. But we're going to make consistent forward progress. And this is a project that hopefully for y'all that have been with us for a while, you can see that we say that we're going to do something and then we go ahead and do it. And we do it in a way that is done properly and sustainably, and that will be around for a while.
That's exactly right. And that's a good way to wrap it up. So there's one thing that we know for sure, no matter what happens in the markets and how volatile things look, we're going to stick around. We're not giving up. I mean, we're a resilient bunch, and we are just actually using this as opportunity to get stronger, more efficient, and make sure that we keep delivering what we're going to do. Yes, sometimes it gets a little frustrating, but for sure we're going to keep moving forward. So, yeah. I mean, if that's, I think that's a good ending point here, where we went about 25 minutes over almost. So I know this was a special end of year update. The start of next year in January is going to be another very good update. We have a lot of things in the pipeline that we're very excited to announce and talk about. But of course, our last slide here is please join our community. If you're here right now, you're already a member of the community, but realize there are other points out there. And Rolf, as you mentioned earlier, actually, we have the majority of our community activity on Discord and Telegram. So guys, please join the Discord and Telegram and follow us on social media in the whole gambit. So It's a fun project. Join our newsletter. Stay current. Participate. Let's be part of this. We're going to keep moving forward, guys. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you all.